What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to be combining and taking a look at the CangToys Thunderking, their version of a masterpiece Stylized Predaking. So we are finally reaching the end of this set. Again, thanks to Ting Lee and Bombus B who sent this to him. And I'm kind of happy to be done with this. It's a very arduous set. There's a lot to work to do. Now, I'm not going to show you how to get these guys transformed into their combined mode. It's a pretty complex transformation, but I will have to admit I used MGo's videos to get them here. So I will link those actually probably at the end. So if you're interested, you can go and pick those up, or maybe even right here. But what I will be showing you is how to combine them into the combined mode, and we'll take a look at all the weapons and all that. So let's get started. First of all, there's a total of 8 figures here. So there's 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, and then the torso and the waist, and then the wings come off of this guy right here. So there's actually 8 figures to combine together. All right, we'll start off here with probably the simplest thing, which is the sword. So go ahead and take the axe, which we got from, I think it was with Thorilla. This is going to fold downwards like this. Go ahead and take this. This actually has a spring-loaded piece right here. So you're going to plug that into there. And then this can come back and tab into here. By the way, I do have a Band-Aid. This figure did draw blood from me. I'll show you later where it came from. But I did hurt myself on this. All right, so it should look like that. Then we're going to take these swords and slowly combine them together until they make the full weapon. So take this end. That's going to plug into here. It looks like kind of this squared off end. Plugged in like that, and then get it onto there. Same on this one. Plug this into here and get it into there. So you should end up with something like that. Then you're going to take these. Now, one of them is keyed, so they have the actual slider right there. So if you put this down, it should work either way, but this one has the tabs there to slide it in, and they're going on right there. So just make sure those line up, and it kind of helps hold it together. So it should look like that. Then go ahead and take these, and you're going to combine these together like a big sword, and then take this and plug it in here. And there is your sword. It is absolutely massive. It's big enough to be a weapon for me as an adult. It's just so big, but there you go for the sword. All right, next we're going to combine all 6 guns into a super gun. So go ahead and take these guns here. We're going to rotate this to this side. Take this, fold this handle back. That's going to tab in right here, or peg in right there, and then the handle is going to end up inside there. So you end up with a piece like that. So same on this side. Rotate this to the outside, fold the handle down, and then peg this in. On this one, we're going to bring this handle down. So it looks like that. Then we're going to combine these together. So there's pegs here. They're going to go into little slots on the side of this. So line those up and get that pegged in. Same on this side, but except this time there's a slot here and a peg there. So you're actually pegging these 2 in, as well as getting those 2 little pegs on the top. So you get that lined up, and then give that a nice push. And there's a peg in the front as well, so make sure you get that one lined up. Then give it a nice squeeze and get it all squished together. Then you take this one, fold that handle back, and this is going to plug in right here on the top. So there's 2 slots right there on either side. Just push that in like that. And there's your handle. Now you can, or your gun, you can fold the handle down. This will come down, and later I'll show you, how to utilize this. But basically this is going to plug in here. And now you can use it like a gun. And again, it's big enough to be the size of a handgun for a human. But if you want to use it like this, which I don't think Predaking really held his gun like this, you can. Or you can leave it like this and use it as an arm cannon. I'll show you later how to utilize it. All right, now let's take care of the feet and legs here. So starting off with the feet, First of all, they are identical with the exception of this articulation is different. So you want to make sure you have the right one on the right side, and it should rotate inwards. So this is the left and this is the right. Now you can see I have some additional parts on this one, and those are parts that came later. I believe they came with Thorilla. So I'll show you how to install those. Go ahead and take this piece right here. You want this configured down like this. And you do have to take off the tail that's on there. Now I don't know if this mounts anywhere. So you do end up with these two parts left over. I'm guessing you could probably put it somewhere on the robot, but for now, let's just set those aside. You're going to take this. This is going to slide on. So get this rail right here. And that's going to slide down the rail where the tail was. So just replacing the tail. Then you're going to take these two pieces, they're going to fold down, and they're going to tab right into the top. It just stabilizes this foot a little bit more, and that's what all these parts are for. They just provide additional stability that they added afterwards. So these are add-on parts that came with later bots. So you're wondering why, why are we doing this? It's because it helps with the stability. All right, so let's get this one on here. This one's a little bit tight, to be honest. That one went in pretty smooth. There we go. So you should end up with something like that. Let's see, fold these down. And then on the front, we're going to take this piece right here. And there's two little pegs that are going to peg into the bottom there. So get those pegged in right there. So it should end up like that. Then we're going to take the bottom here and fold these feet backwards like this. And then this piece is going to stabilize this. So you kind of have to make sure you have it sorted. But there's a slot there and a peg there. And you're going to slot this in just like that. That's the shape. And it should go nice and secure just like that with this angled piece on the outside. All right, same in this one. Line up the hole. And that, again, it just adds stability. It doesn't really do anything other than that. But there's your 2 feet. Now the other thing you want to do, which I did on this side, is I put these rubber grommets there, and they're to help with, give them a little bit of stability on the ground. So they come on a little rubber piece like this. You're going to take off one of these circles, and you're going to fix it right here on the bottom of the foot. There's a little slot for it. I don't know if if they added this after or they had this in mind the whole time, but it does fit perfectly in that little spot. So go ahead and put that on, all 4 of these. They do give you 5. There's 1 extra. So just in case you mess up or whatever, they give you a little bit extra. All right, now that we have those feet configured, we can combine the leg to the foot. There's 2 slots here, one higher up and one lower. And there's 2 grooves on this track, one up here and one down here. So make sure you match those up, get it all the way in, then slide it forward. It should slide all the way back until it basically can't slide anymore. And there you go. So it should work like that. So same thing on this one. Make sure you line up the grooves and slide that back. It is a nice tight fit, so make sure you get it all the way back. But there you go. There's 2 legs. All right, now let's combine the legs with the thighs here and the crotch. So this one's actually pretty interesting how it transformed. There's a lot going on it, but come to the back here. You can see there's a slot on either side of this, and there's grooves here for it to slot in. So line this up, and again, make sure you have the right leg on the right side. The rhino is going to be on the right side, and the bull is going to be on his left side. So get these both slid in, and make sure you push them all the way in, right? They should be flush on both sides. There's one last little click at the end. Now, with those installed that way, it will actually work like this. You can leave it like this. But it will be a little bit weak in the knees. Now it actually works fine, as you can see, it works. But once you have all the weight on the combiner, it does get a little bit weak on those knees. So what they've done is given you these additional brace pieces. Just like we got for the feet, there were some additional brace pieces that came later. They give us this. So go ahead and open up this little retaining clip. Open this up like this. You're going to pass this through the middle. Bring it around the side. Take this whole thing, close that back together, and then it tabs back in. Bring down the retaining clip, come to the back. This is going to come back and plug in very securely into the back of the knee. They did give replacement pieces for that little curved piece here that's plugging in, so maybe those have the potential to break. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to break for me. And then this is just going to sit like that. Now it does change his look a little bit. You can see one side looks a little bit different, but I think it's okay. It's worth it to get the additional strength just to show you now that's how it bends. So it's got a lot more strength. It does reduce his articulation, but I don't think you really need a double jointed knee. It limits you to 90 degrees, whereas this one is more than 90 degrees, but who's taking their combiner past 90 degrees? But either way, I do recommend doing that on your combiner. So go ahead and we'll do the other one off camera and we'll be right back. So now we'll combine the torso and we've got this thing right here. It's just monstrous. By the way, getting this configured is such a pain. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but come to the bottom here, you'll see there's a slot and then two grooves there. So those grooves are going to slide into here. So you want to place it on the front and then slide it forward. So place it on the front, slide it all the way forward until it can't go anymore. There you go. All right, next we'll take care of the arms, and before we do that we have to actually install the hands. And there's a groove here right at the end, and there's a slot on the wrist, and it has to slide under here. Now I recommend holding it like this and squeezing, because otherwise this tabs come apart. That'll make it a lot easier to get this slid down, and over the top slide it all the way down. It should look like that when you're done. And then this slot, this is very similar to the Toy World or Zeta combiner connection, so it does feel like this is somehow related to Toy World or Zeta, but these are going to slide down the grooves in the arms, so you get this lined up and then slide it down into there. So that's one arm done. Same thing on this one. Hold the arm together and slide this. This one is actually the opposite direction. It slides up onto it instead of down. It's just interesting that it's the opposite way. And then same thing here, just going to slide down. All right, the final step here is to get the wings on there, but before I do that, here's a look at the back. You can see there's lots of little robot parts on there. These arms like to move out of the way as you're manipulating him, and actually lots of stuff on this likes to move, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But here are the wings. So there's a little groove right there. That's going to fit into the side of the cannons here. So you're just going to slide it down. There's a nice firm fit there. Then you can kind of fold the wings however you like. I like to have them like this, but it's whatever you want. Then you can actually splay these out. And there is Thunderking, fully assembled in all of his glory. I have to say it is very impressive to see it finally put together, but it is a ton of work to get it to here. Just so you know, even though it looks like I filmed this, in one day, this actually took 2 days to get together. I worked on, about half the bots on one day, and then the next day half the bots, and then you saw me put it together here in front of you. It is a long process. So if you're planning to do this, if you're planning to combine your Thunderking, make sure you set aside enough time. There are some frustrating parts, and you don't want to, put added stress where it's not necessary. So just set aside time to do it. But once you get here, it really is quite beautiful. Got all that gold and metallic red and silvers and blacks. It really does look good. I'll talk about a little bit later the things I don't like, but overall it does look good. You do have these horns here. I'll get closer on the head so you can see this a little bit later. And there's a close-up on the head sculpt. It is a kind of weird looking head. It's got these horns up here. Now I mentioned you can just fold those in if you don't like them. I don't like them, so I'm folding them in. And then you have these up here. I think those are okay. It's just the face of the mouth and the eyes. It's kind of weird looking. But it has some really nice articulation. The head goes up to there, down to there, side to side, and it rotates around. Coming to the back here, there is a panel here for the battery pack. So you take that out. It does take 2 LR44s. I thank them for using regular batteries. So let's get those batteries in there. All right, and there it is with the 2 LR44s installed. So go ahead and replace the battery cover. Give that a firm push so it doesn't fall off. Rotate the head back. Watch out for all this stuff in the way. And then you're going to press the button on the back of the head. And just so you can see it a little bit better, there it is with my lights turned off. And that's a really bright, nice light. It lights up pretty much the whole head and the eyes, everything. All right, before we go over the articulation, I just want to do a quick height, which I forgot to do earlier. So he comes in at 21 inches to the top of his ears there. Or if you go to the top of these cannons, which are probably off camera, 27 inches. So that's a really big combiner. I think it's actually the biggest combiner we've ever gotten as far as third-party, non-Titan class. So pretty cool that they were able to make it this big. I showed you the head articulation. You can rotate these cannons forward like this. You just got to watch out for all the arms and stuff that could be in the way. You can have that look there. These are kind of loose. They don't really stay all that well. These are just the part of the mane from the lion. So you don't want to be careful with those, but you can have that look if you want. I don't think Predaking ever had that look. Coming to the arms, you can rotate arms at this joint. It's very tight, but it goes all the way around on a nice tight ratchet. It does go out to the side. You just got to be careful because there's all these bits. It likes to come unplugged, this red piece right here, which again is part of the mane and it's very pointy. It likes to come unplugged, so you just got to be careful with that. But the arm can go up. Things are starting to come apart. Up to there on the shoulder joint, or separately the arm itself can go out to the side. You can get the whole thing up pretty high. There's a cover up here, so you can move that cover out of the way. You have a rotation at the bicep, rotation at the elbow, 90-degree bend at the elbow, gets you up to there. For the hands, you have a rotation at the wrist. This is die cast, by the way. For the hands, you have individually articulated fingers at 1, 2, 3 pins, and spiky bits there. Thumb is on a ball joint. You can rotate inwards, and it has 2 pins so that you can get the thumb bent. Coming down to the waist, you have a waist rotation here on a ratchet. It's a soft ratchet. Gets you rotated all the way around. The wings, obviously I showed you earlier when we put them on that you can splay these out or coalesce them in. They can go backwards and forwards. You can really do a lot of articulation on those, really kind of however you like. You can also rotate it up if you want to, but there's a lot going on with those wings. But I'm not going to go over it again since we already did. For the waist, you get quite a bit of movement there as well. And it's a little tricky because you've got these hip skirts. They're 2-piece hip skirts. And they kind of just get out of whack very easily. If you lift those up out of the way, you can rotate the leg. It's just very tough. So you can get up to there. It's very heavy and very awkward. You can get back to here, and if I lift up this hip skirt right here, out to the side, it is very heavy. I don't know if it would actually be able to hold the weight if you were to put it out that far, but I don't think anyone's going to be doing that, to be honest. And I'm glad I installed these because you can see he's a little bit unstable with some of the weight here. Coming down to the knee, you have a 90-degree bend. Oh, and it came apart. See, this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't like to stay together, but there's a 90-degree bend at the knee. And it does help to have that brace on there. I'll get this fixed during the break off camera. Ankle tilt. out to there. This piece fell off. You get back and forth on a friction joint. And now let's take a look at the weapons for him. You get this blaster, which we put together earlier. And this can mount on the arm. But what you need to do is first take this, rotate this down. You'll see there's two little pegs there. You're going to take this adapter, which we saw earlier, which was, I think this came with Thrilla. And this is going to tab in right here. Then you can take the gun and it can fit. There's a peg on the gun that fits into this slot. And now we can hold it like that, which is pretty cool. I think that's a good look for him. But if you don't like that, if you prefer him kind of holding the gun, you can take that out. He can't hold that gun. The other weapon is the massive sword, which is human size. Look at my hand. It's big. So anyway, this can, same thing. It's got two pegs here, and that's going to fit in the hands. If you open it up a little bit, you just pull this down. You can have it with this extension, so you don't want it all the way. You just want to open a little bit like this, so that can extend in the hand. So open it up, put it in the hand, pull it down just so it fits in the hand, and then wrap the fingers around, and the thumb around, and you're going to need that because it's a very heavy sword. And there you go. It does fit in the hand, but it's barely holding. Any little gust of wind is going to make that fall. It's just too heavy for the hand, to be honest, but there you go. For size comparison, there it is next to the Transform Element Optimus Prime. This guy towers over him, really big combiner. And for another size comparison that might help you get a sense of the size of this guy, there it is next to Moon Studios' Radiatron, their version of Raiden. And he is actually even taller than Raiden, just a little bit taller, about a head taller than the Moon Studios. So that should give you a sense of size. But overall size, just with the wings and everything, it is massive. So final recommendations on the CangToys Thunderking. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I'm going to give it a partial recommendation. And I know there's going to be a lot of people surprised about that recommendation, but let me explain why. Now, in the individual robot modes, for the reviews that I did, I gave all of them a 4 out of 5, and I think I even was tempted to give some of them 5 out of 5. The only one I didn't really love was the Firmament, their dive bomb. It was kind of wonky, you know, the balance was a little off, and I actually had a ratchet issue on one of them, but it just wasn't my favorite. But all the rest I really liked. The transformations were fun, the robot mode and alt mode, although not accurate to the cartoon, still looked pretty cool. And the weapons were really nice. Everything really just was great in the individual modes. But combining it and getting it to this place, not fun at all. It's really painful, quite figuratively and literally. Figuratively in the sense that it just takes a very long time. You need to set aside a day, 2 days, really, to get this combined. And then the literal part is there's pointy bits all over. I actually hurt myself on this because the back of the feet are actually like razors. They're very sharp. And there's all sorts of sharp bits on this. It's very easy. And as you're trying to manipulate the combined mode, things just move out of the way. These hip skirts don't stay. This sword is barely hanging on. If I were to tap it, it would fall out of the hand. It really doesn't have the strength to hold because it's just too much weight. The gun works okay, and the arm and ratchets. The ratchets are all pretty good. It's just the sword probably doesn't really stay that well. And then kind of balancing him is part of the challenge here. You really have to get him balanced forward and backward. Now that I have him in this position, I really don't want to touch it, so I don't want to move anything. And that's kind of how it's going to be in your collection, right? It's going to be a shelf queen because you really don't want to move it once you get it into a position where it's standing and it's stable. And to me, that's not fun. You know, that's not a fun combiner. It really has to be able to move and pose and, you know, articulate at least a little bit, right? So you can kind of change the pose. So hopefully I helped you with this review. That's it for today. Thanks to Ting Lee for sending all of these. It was really quite a journey to go through all of these. And I know it's a big risk to send somebody a huge, expensive combiner like this. This is $1,000, over $1,000 for this entire set. So I do appreciate that. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.